So let me begin with what Einstein said some time ago about imagination. He said imagination is more important than knowledge. I think we should put this camera and take the sound also. This. Knowledge is limited to all we know now and understand, he said, while imagination embraces the entire world and all there ever will be to know and understand. And I put it in Greek also. So that's what we need. In order to bring change, we have to use imagination. And the problem that we face nowadays is that we try to imagine the education of the future, but what is the problem? The problem is that we try to do it with today's technology, knowledge of today's technology. So we can never be sure what the situation will be in 20 years from now, because we don't know what technologies we will have then. If in the 90s, I would tell you that I can have this machine and talk to you and look at you at the same time, you may smile about it, huh? Because you may say this is impossible. But this is today, it's a practice, and it's part of our life. So let's see. To understand the future, we have to go back and look at the history as well. Huh? In order to bring the change, we have to realize what happened the last 100 years. Here I show you two pictures that has 100 years difference between them. And they are both classrooms. And the question we usually put is, what is the difference? Well, there are a few differences. One is that we see some color in the after 100 years in the picture, maybe some screens, maybe 100 years ago we could see the faces of the students in the photos. Now we cannot. We have GDPR now, but more or less we haven't changed much over 100 years. We still have the classroom. We have the teacher center. You see the teacher. Everyone is looking at the teacher. This is not student center approach that we have been talking for 40 years. But nothing is happening in the classroom. We still have teacher-centered approaches. Okay, a few more pictures, interesting, I would say. In the 1950s, we wanted to have air conditioning. We didn't have air conditioning, but the air conditioning was open sky fast. It was too hot, maybe. So there we can see what was air conditioning in the 50s. Of course, nowadays we see much more modern classrooms in many areas. We do support the air conditioning in the Mediterranean countries in classrooms. I think they are coming also in Cyprus soon, I hope. If you remember, some of us from certain age and above, we had some movable, you remember the movable portable blackboards on wheels, so we could move the teaching, let's say, in another environment like the library. Of course, nowadays we have schools that have use no books at all. They only have these tablets. They don't even have the bags, carrying the bags to schools. They only go with a tablet and everything is there. Huh? We have seen such schools. Me and Mr. Skotinos, we were in South Korea a few years ago, and we have seen a school like this. And there was internet everywhere, but not Wi-Fi everywhere, if you understand what this means. Students could connect to internet in the classroom, in the library, whatever, but there was no Wi-Fi within the buildings. Anyway, education 1.0 more or less is over in most countries, is what we say, what we have been living maybe in the 60s, in the 70s, I would say, or even in the 80s. Most countries today, they operate under education 2.0, as we call it. Here, of course, we start having some communication, some collaboration, and we have this the so-called cooperative learning applied in some, but it's mainly exam-based approach. We give knowledge, we test the knowledge, and then we give grades, and we move on. Students memorize most of the times to do well on tests. After a while, they forget everything, and they are left without any competences and skills in most times, right? This happened to us also, right? We have to be prepared in our lives many times for examinations. Do you remember everything you have you tested well in your life in the past? No. But maybe you develop some skills and competences. The skills and competences stay with when they develop further. It's like the athlete. The athlete is exercising in order to develop the physical competence for his body. But there is a deadline for that, right? Because the body cannot, but the mind can continue to be developed for years until we die, actually, right? This is the power of mind. So investing in minds, as we say, is better than investing in athletes, in a sense, because when you invest in minds, you can bring to your country creativity and innovation eventually. But when you only invest in athletes at some point they get older and that's it. They have nothing to offer you. But the minds will offer back to your country. Okay, of course, there are different characteristics here that we're trying to change. We bring technology, there is a confusion on what technology is useful or not. We use technology and then after 1 year it becomes obsolete, etc. And you train the teachers in a certain software, and then by the end of the training and by the time they get ready to apply, the software is old. So we need to change. We need to train teachers to adapt to new technologies without having to train them, because simply there is no time for training. So teachers have to develop competences as well and skills to be able to adapt to change. And to be able to adapt to change, you need to develop certain competences and skills. We had another project, the Air Cloud, where we developed something like this, and we also offer certification. We already offer some certifications for that. Okay, you see what happened with the COVID. We were not ready for it. Education 3.0, which is some countries are moving to this, some experimental approaches, I would say, in Finland, in the Netherlands, the United States, in Japan, in Israel. This is clearly a student-centered approach. So we start eliminating the word lesson plan. If you want to talk about student-centered approach, you should not talk about the lesson. The lesson is a teacher approach. If you should talk about learning, because student-centered means it's a learning approach. It's not a teaching approach. We should not be talking about teaching hours, but we should be talking about learning hours. We say we have a student-centered approach system, but we talk about teaching hours. No, we shouldn't even talk about teachers anymore. Teachers are not teaching. They should be facilitating the learning. They should be supporting, facilitating, becoming co-creators with their students. This is what we're talking about. Okay, nowadays we try to do cooperative learning, project-based work. Why project-based and project work supports the development of competences and skills has been proven with many, many different researches, and there are publications. So we know that project-based activity develops competences and skills. Where is the knowledge? The knowledge can be accessible and retained and obtained at any time, any place. We will talk about this later. Some maybe classrooms of the future will look like this, maybe. This is a Google room. We have people working in groups, open spaces. There are schools in the United States, for example, that have no classrooms, only open spaces. In Netherlands, there was some experiment with 2 schools. It was valued, etc. It was successful, and then we asked the developers, okay, now you tested the STEAM approach, project-based approach with open spaces, students working in groups. What do you do now? Now we turn down walls from public schools, let's say, to make more open spaces. Huh? So things are changed. But we still have a big problem that we will talk later. So education at 4.0 is the active. Probably no education system is really operating at education 4.0, not even 3.0. Here we're talking about co-creation and innovation in the center. We talk about whenever and wherever. Huh? Whenever and wherever. That means the so-called flipped classroom. What we do in classroom, we can do it outside the classroom. We can do it at any place, even in a hybrid environment. Another project we started recently is the STEAM hybrid, because now we have a new problem. We need to support the hybrid learning process, like we do now. We have a hybrid conference now. Some people are here, some people are at distance. Huh? We have to be able to work like this in the future, not because of COVID, but because of other situations as well. Maybe some student is here for other reasons and cannot come to school. You have to be able to give an easy solution to this situation. I remember in the past we had to ask one of the students in classroom to go and meet the student at home to take the notes of the class, etc., of the lesson. Now, those were the solutions. Even today are the solution, because you cannot videotape the lesson anymore. Still not able to do that. Anyway, learning is done at home or outside school, while in school students develop skills, development of personalized teaching and learning, because there will be more time for the teacher to spend with the students. If the learning, if you support the learning process with other means, with digital means, let's say, then you have more time to spend with your students. A year ago, we had presentations like this, and there was a reaction from the teachers, say, okay, we don't have time to change and do projects. Okay, yes, you don't, because you waste your time filling up a board 5 times in a lesson. The students are copying from the board without having time to really think what they are copying from the board. You finish in 40 minutes, 45 minutes, and then the students get nothing. They just manage to copy what you write on the board, and then they go home and they try to understand what they have copied from the board. Isn't this what is happening every day? We know it's wrong, but why we don't change? I remember when I was a student, I had a genius professor during my PhD program. He was writing on the board 15 times, raising the board 15 times, and we're just trying to copy, trying to understand advanced mathematics. And then I had to spend 10 hours at home trying to understand what I copied from the board. We have to end this. Learning plans are now called learning and creativity plans. So the lesson plans are now have a new name, learning and creativity plans. The technology should be free and accessible everywhere. Increased use, we would see increased use of virtual reality, artificial intelligence, because we have to give the experience of the students for things and activities and environments they can never get to. And we need to save time. We can use virtual reality for that. Continuous evolution, innovation, and therefore a need to develop competence skills so people become adaptable to change. Not only for the students, for the teachers. The teachers here is the main key. The teachers can bring the change. And we have to help the teachers bring the change. So we go from lesson plans in education 2.0 to learning plans in 3.0 and to learning and creativity plans in 4.0. We as Project STEAME, at the beginning of the project, even before, we asked teachers, what do you need in order to be able to work in projects? And there were 3-4 answers, expected answers. The mathematician said, I have no idea what is biology. How can I do a project mathematics in biology? The biologist said, I don't know much mathematics. How can I do a project and support my students in mathematics and biology? So that was the first problem. How you support the teachers to develop learning and creativity plans for project-based work in multidisciplinary content, mathematics and chemistry, biology and physics, whatever, etc. The second problem said, I take away the problem of time. Let's say there's no problem of time. They said, I don't know really how to work with other teachers, and I don't know how to assess the students when they work in projects. So in this project, we try to answer these questions. And in the workshops organized by some of my colleagues are presenting this. And of course, in the website of the project, you can see different things. Besides the outputs that we are publishing already, we developed the observatory. The observatory, you can find ready-made learning and creativity plans for different ages. And these learning and creativity plans, they are ready-made content and material for you to use. Some of them are also provided in different languages. And if you see a learning and creativity plan, I'm not going to open up because you will do it in the workshops. We will show you how to cooperate with other teachers, how to assess. There are evaluation rubrics provided as well, and everything you need in order to work with other teachers, in order to support students in working in projects. So let's say we have a solution for this. Let's proceed. So here, so we needed for this project, we needed a model for STEAM schools, guidelines for STEAM activities in schools, guidelines for cooperation between teachers of different disciplines, new organizational structures of STEAM schools, training for teachers, help them to adapt, and dynamic change in curricular tools and methods. This is what we're trying to set up in this project. And from this, we grow. The main outputs, which is 2 of them already published, is the guidelines for dynamic and adaptive STEAM. So we studied all over the world what is happening in STEAM school or STEAM activities. Actually, we have collected this in one document, which you can study with many links. The second one, we developed these guidelines for STEAM activities in schools, the observatory I just showed you, the learning plans, the assessment, the 18 steps of supporting 2 teachers, minimum 2 teachers supporting students working in projects, etc., etc. We piloted, we did a survey shown by Professor Thomas yesterday, we did a focus group with experts, etc. We validated everything. We listened to many people, and we put together all the ideas to see how we support teachers to be ready, not to change, to be ready for the change. How we change is another story, and I will discuss that. So the output 3, which is really ending now, and we present them actually the first main results of this output, is that we say we have 2 types of schools. The type A, how can we run STEAM activities in existing school structures? In the classroom we have. If we're going to build a new school, how should we design it so we can run project-based work? How we support learning at the same time. Be careful, learning is important. We can't forget learning. Project-based work will develop the skills we need to develop for the students. not only because it's necessary for them, but it's because it's required by the industry also. The industry shouted and said, we have graduates even for universities who have no skills, have no competence. They had some knowledge, they graduated, they have degree, and we cannot use them. If you study surveys of industry, when they interview people, what are they looking for? And what is the priority of what they are requesting from the people? Knowledge comes number 3. Knowledge is our degrees. So the degrees is number 3 in their preference. What is number 2? Number 2 is soft skills. Competences, soft skills is number 2. What is number 1? Communication. Because if you have knowledge and skills and you cannot communicate your knowledge and skills, is useless. People have to be able to communicate. And who should be the best communicators in this world? The teachers. Why? Because every morning when you enter your class, what are you trying to do? You're trying to communicate knowledge to non-experts. The students are the non-experts. So you have to have the skills to transfer knowledge to non-experts. This means science communication, STEAME communication, or generally knowledge communication, transfer of knowledge. Okay, here we also developed the training courses already online as a webinar now, because we tested it in June and we recorded those sessions and it's available. But we plan new courses. There will be one in February in Paphos, near the conference of the Cyprus Math Society, the second weekend. There will be one in Thessaloniki during Euromath conference. There will be one next summer in Agros. And during 1 and 3 February in Krakow, we will have a mixture, a course that we will have STEMI and Inomath from what Mr. Skodinos mentioned yesterday. So if you are interested and a school has KA1 money, Erasmus money available, you can participate in those outside cycles with funding for those who can travel. Okay, I'm going to show you now some of the architectural designs of this future school from outside and from inside, and discuss also. The full completion would be next month. The project ends in December. This is the design of the future school. It's like cells in of B cells, right? Those one cells there. So it's hexagons. It's a completion of hexagons because hexagons take maximum area and you can connect them. Now, what is happening inside here? This is the entrance actually of the school, and here there is an open amphitheater on the roof. There are many things. There is photovoltaics on the roof, so this school is going to be 100% self-sustained by energy. The roof is big, and there is a field, a running field on the roof. Actually, you can also put a train around it. I will see about the train. There is lakes. There are football stadiums on the roofs. These are big. This is 50 meters each side of the hexagon. So the diameter is 100 meters. So this is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's like 500 meters. Of course, you can make it smaller, but this is the idea. Don't ask me about the cost. We are not building this yet. But let's see more. Some different angles, of course. It's a 3-floor, 2 above the ground and 1 under the ground. This is the athletic center. So this athletic center actually, it opens in the morning for the students. Then this closes when the students go home and opens on this side for the public, for the parents, for the society, right? So the public would be paying to use this sports center. So the students get it for free use during the day. Huh? You can have a cafeteria on the roof. This is the inside built. But okay, let's see what are the main components in the basement of this building. Mainly in the basement, we will have all the laboratories. We will have also the big amphitheater that connects from the ground to the basement. But we will have the main biology lab. I call it main because we will have also satellite laboratories within the building, not only one. Chemistry lab, physics lab, mathematics lab, construction and 3D printers, environmental lab, robotics, computing and software, prototype development, virtual reality center, skills and talent development, and STEAME communication, what I mentioned earlier. So additional VR rooms, learning stations. I will explain what is a learning station, and entry into the amphitheaters. This is the basement. We will see some pictures also. Then we have the ground floor, which will have the satellite labs. So we have smaller labs, sharing labs. So when students are working in projects, they may not need to go to the main lab, but they should have access to smaller labs. There will be some soundproof student meeting rooms because they may want to test things, etc. And these meeting rooms actually would be learning rooms as well. So we have learning stations and learning rooms. Let me make a parenthesis now. What do we do there? I mentioned earlier that the learning that is provided by the teacher has to also be available, not to replace the teaching. I'm not saying to replace, should be available in a video. The most challenging task for a teacher is to transfer the same knowledge, the same chapter, let's say you teach in a chapter in the classroom or a section of the chapter in 45 minutes. We ask you to do this in a video in 3 different speeds, same content, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes. And save it in a video. Why? We want to have these learning stations available for individual use, and we want to have the learning rooms for group of students learning together through video. Let's say the students are working on a project. And a simple example, let's say when the students are working, are monitored by the teachers, supported by the teachers. The teachers are moving around. The teacher realizes that the students, in order to proceed with the project, they have to apply the Pythagoras theorem, which they don't know yet. There are 2 ways to solve this. Either you call 50 students to go to the amphitheater to teach them, that's waste of time. Or you tell the students, go to 5, if there are 5, group of 5, go to 5 learning stations, put your headphone, switch on the screen, and learn the Pythagoras theorem, taught by the teacher themselves. If you are a talented student, high ability, you can do it in 15 minutes video. If you are an average student, you can watch this 30 minutes. If you are a weak student, maybe you need to watch the 45 minutes, or you can repeat. And then say, come back after 1 hour, we continue the project. Or you can tell them, go to the learning room. I'll show you pictures of the learning room. And watch the video together, discuss it, interact, help each other, collaborate, cooperate, and come back to continue the project. That's it. So in the process of the inquiry-based work, the project inquiry, you discover or realize what knowledge you need, and you go and get the knowledge you need. And maybe why? If the knowledge of Pythagoras theorem was given in November, and you do a project in April, most students probably will not remember it anyway. So they will need to do what? Either open the book or ask the teacher. The teacher will say, I don't have time. I cannot teach it again. You need it now. What can I do? We have a solution. Watch the video. That's the idea. If you did the material last year and you don't remember it, watch the video. So if we imagine that we have video learning videos available for everything in the curriculum, we have the first problem of the big change solved. Specs, first floor. Now let's go to the first floor. So we have basement, ground floor, and first floor, and then roof. Here we have open space, flexible, movable furniture. We also have this in the ground floor. Co-creation train moving. In this big hexagon, instead of hexagon, we'll have a circular train moving at a low speed, where students can jump on this train. It will be moving slow, and they can work on this train as it is moving, and they can get off in another section of the area. And you can put another train like this in the roof, or we put the moment maybe a running field in the roof. But we want this moving. And another thing, do you imagine the students how they would feel if every day they come to school they see different colored walls? This is possible nowadays with many different tricks, with lights or with blinds, like we do the advertisements in the streets. They change, right? So you can have your walls change colors every day. So the students come to the school and say, oh, today my school is blue. Tomorrow our school is orange or a mixture. The students need this change. Roof, recreation spaces, cafeteria on the roof or in the internal garden and lake, photovoltaics, football court or tennis courts, athletic fields, open amphitheater. Okay, let's see what I said a little bit in pictures. I don't know how visible this is, but here we have the laboratories. We have the spaces for learning stations also, the athletic center, the entrance with the big inside amphitheater and another on the roof. So here we have the virtual reality rooms inside. In this wall underground, there will be storage rooms. There will be one entrance for trucks, even for trucks to enter here to unload things if you like. So this is the ground. This is the basement. Sorry, this is the basement. The ground floor has access to smaller amphitheaters. These we have the learning stations again, and the outside field here. Students can communicate through the open sky or inside here. And the satellite laboratories also. First floor, we have the train that I mentioned, and the learning rooms also are here. The athletic center, the offices, the administration offices are also here, and access to the amphitheater. So the amphitheaters have access from the basement, from the ground floor, and from the first floor. This is the roof. We have minimum green area and photovoltaics. We have the field, cafeteria, a lake, even a lake on the roof, etc. And of course, one can use the outside ground as well for things, but there's access from everywhere at any time, any place. This is another angle. The entrance going to, this is the possible cafeteria on the top, on the roof, and in the inside garden, right? This is the basement where there is an entrance even for cars if needed, but that's where you have access to the athletic center, etc. Here is basement with the laboratories, entrances, etc. The virtual reality rooms here and there. The ground floor, another angle. Then we go to these learning stations I mentioned earlier. So students can go to the learning stations and watch videos. This is the learning room, where a group of students can be together in a learning room and watch a movie or whatever and interact. And there is glass through, so anyone can see what is happening in there from outside. It's another first floor picture. First floor, that direct access to the roof with learning stations and rooms. First floor steamer train. This is one back on the train that looks like this. So it's moving in a magnetic field, so it's soundless. And this is another back-on, which would be more quiet. So if you want to have more quiet back-ons, it's possible. And it would be moving like 3 kilometers per hour. The learning rooms. Learning stations. A picture from the first floor down to the building. And I also have a video for you. Just more, a few seconds. Okay, a few more things. I call it a paradigm shift of school learning environment. It's a paradigm shift because major changes come. But it's not easy. We see what is happening nowadays. Is that little? We say we're going to make this school a STEM school. And then the teacher says, I have no idea what to do. What's a STEM school? What's a STEM school? So in order to bring the change, if we want to bring the change to Education 4.0 and work in STEAM and real STEAM schools, we need to take certain steps to reach that. So how can we change current learning structures in schools into STEAM and project-based learning structures? What are the steps? And there are actually 3 steps. To go from Education 2.0 to Education 4.0. Here is the step 1. Secure, I already mentioned, secure digital learning through learning videos created by teachers, learning videos of 3 speeds to become available through learning stations and learning rooms. So we need to bring the teaching, the learning into videos and have it available. Not to replace the teachers, to have it there available, to be accessed, to be repeated, to be watched when needed, etc. But we need to have it. The teacher cannot stand all the time in front of the classroom to give learning to students, to facilitate learning to students. No, there's no time. We have to move fast. That's the first step to secure. And in order to do this, teachers need training again. As I said, it's not easy to teach, to bring your teaching in video in 3 different speeds for the same content. So you need help. You need some technology. Technology is easy nowadays. I can start behind a Zoom recording myself and do my teaching if I have the tools. 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes. So if we train the teachers a little bit, we allow them time, they can do it. In 1 year, when you finish your teaching, we allow you 1 day, whatever, less hours, or we attach some learning, some teacher trainees with you to develop this. It can be done easily with almost 0 cost. What is the second step? Train teachers how to cooperate between different disciplines, and how to develop, co-create STEAM learning creativity plans. This is the workshop we offer in this conference, is to train teachers what are these learning and creativity plans, and to help them realize or manage to develop new ones by themselves. We have many examples on the observatory already, but we want teachers to be able to cooperate, at least 2 teachers of 2 different disciplines, to create such learning and creativity plans. Train teachers how to cooperate with academic and industry also, and how to do STEAM-related activities in hybrid environments. We started already a project called STEAM Hybrid, STEAM Goes Hybrid. So we will bring by next year a solution for that as well. And give them freedom to create. Teachers need freedom to create. What is the problem? We are a poor country. About Cyprus. That's why it's not easy. If we were a rich country, we can do it easily. Step 3. When we have our learning videos, we have the teachers trained with a critical mass, then we can create open spaces in current schools or build the new schools with more open spaces for project-based cooperative work between students. Then we are ready to run STEAM schools. We have our teachers ready, we have their learning videos ready. They know what to do, they know how to cooperate, they know how to develop new learning and creativity plans, project-based. We are ready to also worry about the space. So all things together, at least these steps should take place in order to bring the change, to make the paradigm shift, as we say. I'm coming back to more things, just to mention now that next year we bring the Euromath and Euroscience conference after having to cancel it in 2020 Thessaloniki. There was a complete lockdown 3 days before the conference with 570 registered participants, and we had to cancel it. I don't know if some of you were in the plan to come in Thessaloniki 2 years ago, but we bring it back to Thessaloniki. Let's hope the pandemic will allow it this time. We will see, things don't all look good, but I'm optimistic that we will be able to have a hybrid event in March, and we will do many STEAM activities in related activities in this conference. I have a video. I think I will skip this video because we're running close to the end. More STEM opportunities for you and challenges. We announced the European STEM communication competitions. This is for others, this is for teachers like you, with international participation. This is a competition on how, it's like Fame Lab, but it's for STEAM. Communicate STEAM topics in orally in 5 minutes to a public. It's like X Factor, but instead of singing or dancing, you do, it's like the math factor and science factor that we have for the kids, but we also have it now, announced it now for adults, which means mainly we hope teachers will participate. Okay? And the finals will be during the Euromath conference, Euromath Euroscience conference in March. The mathematics journalistic article competition is announced in the website of STEAM and also in the website of the Cyprus Mathematical Society. The theme this year, and keep in mind that this is the only competition that we have the European Math Society cooperating in this. The role of mathematics in STEAM education. So this is for kids to write an article, I think maximum 1,000 words. And we want them to develop this topic, and we will read the manuscripts sent, and we will select the shortlist who are going to be invited to present it during the Euromath conference and give the 3 prizes. So there is a link for this, you can find it. The European comic poster competition, this is related to infographics, and we invite students who work on design posters to develop such posters and submit them for the competition. There is a session on infographics by Mr. Kotsanis later today, right, Yannis? From the EI STEM project. So these are again STEAM related. We announced the STEAM Summer Camp next July in Agros. If you are interested, we also run the midday mathematics in industry activity. And new challenges which are approved is the STEAM Goes hybrid that I mentioned earlier, and we started last May. And today there will be a roundtable discussion with Professor Thomas and Nicholas Stylianidis from the project to discuss. We want to hear from you when you have to do hybrid teaching or learning procedures with your students. What's your experience so far? But how do you imagine it happening when some students are in classroom and some students are home? Or imagine doing co-teaching between your classroom in Limassol and another classroom in Paphos, for example. And you want to do a co-teaching. This should be possible. So these are the results, expected results for the STEAM Goes Hybrid, a blueprint guidelines for hybrid STEAM activities, training programs for facilitating the implementation of STEAM, learning and creativity plans for school education teachers, and piloting the blueprint guidelines, and a hybrid blueprint at a glance as a policy recommendation to be available for all Europeans. Another challenge which is approved, which will start in December, two new projects, the entry, empowering, no, the entry started already, sorry. The entry, no, this started already in June. One is the empowering schools transition readiness to a distance hybrid learning model enhanced to cloud technology tools. So this is very much related to STEAM hybrid. And the other one, the OnLife, empower hybrid competences for OnLife adaptable training in school education in times of pandemic. Coordinated by Pedagogical University of Krakow, and the other one through Sophia Foundation, that is a brother organization to Duka School. Actually, the Entree is the last project that is going to be run under the funding of UK. Even though it's Erasmus, is the last funded program under UK. Another new project that has been approved a few days ago, and it will start in January, also coordinated by Pedagogical University of Krakow, is bring your own device approach. BYOD means bring your own device, learning at any time, at any place, via any device. So the idea is that is what Professor Thomas mentioned yesterday, that if you don't need laptops anymore, these are better maybe than laptops. So if the kids have this machine with them, you should be able to facilitate their learning through that machine, anytime, any place, anywhere. Not only in classroom, flip classroom, anywhere. So that's the idea. And we will develop, I think part of it will develop also some learning videos as well, etc. Okay, the other one which also is recently approved and will start in December is the Teach the Future. So this, all these projects will complete the puzzle, I would say, the puzzle for the change. We will have all the tools available. To proximity, the yeast, we will have the yeast ready. So here is related more to environment, climate change, and stuff like this. So STEAM learning and creativity plans could be developed from this. Another proposal we submitted in May, and we expect the results in November, facilitate artificial intelligence. How to teach artificial intelligence in secondary. The future is artificial intelligence. So we need to start from early age to help the students understand and think in the logic and in the lines of artificial intelligence. Don't ask me, I'm not an expert, but I know artificial intelligence is happening to me every day. When I Google a hotel room in Austria, After 10 minutes, I start receiving messages. Are you looking for a hotel in Austria? What is this? This is artificial intelligence. It's happening. Anyway, another one is we submitted on the 7th of September, is the STEMI teacher facilitators account. This is a big project. It's 1.5 million. And we hope that it will be approved. There will be, this is a new Erasmus Plus program that started in 2021. And they're going to approve 5 projects. There will be 5 projects every year for 5 years, 25 projects. And actually what we want to do is to build these academies, being a federation of academies, STEAME supported with a center at the Pedagogia University of Krakow. And from there, we hope to do what? To cover step 1 and step 2 that I mentioned, to create, develop the critical mass of STEAM teachers. If we have the critical mass of STEAM teachers in Europe, then the educational systems can talk about STEAM schools, not the other way around. And another small piece of the puzzle that was missing, and we realized it the last few weeks, and me and Thomas put together a small-scale proposal that support as a deadline of 3 November, and we already submitted it, is to help the students get organized, the STEAM students. We want STEAM students. So we're going to facilitate the community, the development of a STEAM student community. Why? Because we believe that the students who are going to bring the change will be a bottom-up approach. If the students want STEAM schools, we will have STEAM schools. Simple as that. And we will try to facilitate. We will be the mentors and we will help the students get organized. And if we manage this, I think we will have the full puzzle completed with the other projects, and we will have the paradigm shift, as we say, will probably be completed. And this is the yeast for the change. So prosimy this and the yeast. If we have the yeast, we can make bread. If we don't have yeast, we cannot make bread. These are the partners. You can join us to subscribe to our newsletter to keep you informed. Thank you for listening. And I'm ready to answer questions.